And a whistle as they try to lob it to Malone.
3-second violation once again. Malone is trying to post up in there, and they're very slow getting the ball to the corner. As they're normally on transition, they swing this ball to the corner. Malone seals his man. They throw right over the top, but they can't get the ball to the corner until it's too late. Rodman does a good job locking him up, but that time he's been in the lane too long.
And now Michael Jordan's back in the game, fully rested.
And then Anderson is on him. Morris over for help. Michael spins, throws up a wild reverse, no good. And Malone clears the boards. Here's Stockton. Isley open for three. Just short. Flat-footed rebound to Rodman in the lane. That could have been a huge basket for the Jazz.
Now Kerr's out on the floor, so if you double team, he's a three-point shooter. Stockton's got to be more aware of him.
Michael is fouled before the shot. Anderson got him. That's 3 on Shandon Anderson.
See, Michael got actually over 13 minutes actual rest, only missed a little over 4 minutes of the game.
Stockton up on Kerr. Kukoc from Rodman. Missed it badly. Stockton has the rebound. Ahead to Anderson, and he lost it. 6 minutes and 59 seconds to play in the fourth.
Spins baseline, Russell reaches in when the ball is down low. You see Michael Jordan start to go to the basket right now at the end of the game to get to the foul line because he knows this is where you're going to win it or lose it.
That's only the 9th free throw attempted by the Bulls all evening. Michael and Scotty, the only 2 guys who have shot them all night long.
Michael makes 1 of 2, just 6 points so far in the second half after a 20-point outburst in the first 24 minutes.
And during that free throw, Pippen talked to Steve Kerr, and I read his lips, and he told him that, Steve, if you're open, knock it down.
Kerr on Stockton. 5-point Utah lead. Malone backing in on Pippen. Fade away. No.
You know, he's getting some good shots in there. He just got some tough rolls. He took his time that time, had Pippen, and just couldn't make the shot.
Michael into the lane. Missed it long. Rebound Russell. Malone's only basket of late was a dunk. He remains ice cold with his jumper.
And Brian Russell's going back and getting some huge rebounds.
Malone low blocks again, and Rodman fouled him as he received the pass.
Isaiah, you know this. You're a star player. You got to keep taking the shots. He took his time this time. This is a good look at the basket. You got to think that Karl Malone, an MVP candidate this year and last year the MVP, will eventually make those shots.
Eventually, they will go down for you. You just have to have enough nerve and enough heart to keep shooting the basketball.
He'll take it to the basket and slam it. Utah by 7. 4:38 remaining in the fourth.
Bob, you said at the start of the game, you said, Doug, the simple play, screen and roll. Who does it better? Stockton and Malone. The left screen roll, Malone steps back, and Michael's slow in his rotation. He's worried about Russell. Nobody on the weak side steps up, and Malone with the powerful finish. The eyes of the point guard, Isaiah. I know you love that.
I do love that because he's getting his big fella involved. He understands that Karl Malone is struggling, and he's gave him 2 dunks.
Down by 7, here come the Bulls. Quick pass to Longley inside from Kerr, and Longley is fouled. Conventional wisdom coming into this series was that if Chicago was to get a split, which is pretty much what they seek in the first 2 games in Utah, their most likely victory would come in game 1. Of course, in sports, conventional wisdom changes moment to moment. It's possible that Utah will win game 1 with their best player, Karl Malone, having a decidedly off night. He does have 11 rebounds with 15 points, but he shot just 6 of 20.
Hey, Luke.
As you noted earlier, Doug, Prior to this trip to the line by Longley, only Pippen and Jordan had shot free throws in this entire game for Chicago. Kukoc out, Rodman back in.
And Longley is a 90% free throw shooter, so it's vital that your big guy, if you're going to take a hard foul underneath the basket, can step up and make free throws.
Longley cuts it to 5. Remember, when they played the Jazz a year ago, they had Jason Caffey and, more importantly, Brian Williams, who's now with the Pistons. Those guys were so important against Utah. They don't have that kind of depth and front court strength this time around.
See Scottie Pippen trying to chase him out of the double team by running at the ball.
Chris Morris off the glass and good. We move inside 4 minutes. Utah by 7. Michael, good look, and he puts it down. 28 for MJ.
Now watch Scottie Pippen. When they try to get into their screen roll, he's running at John Stockton and trying to scramble the play.
Stockton behind Malone's screen. Kerr chasing after him. 5 on the shot clock. It's Morris. Can't hit his second in a row. And Longley clears the boards. Jordan from 20. Good again.
Now, when Jordan shot that shot, he turned around and made a little sound and just said, woo. I think he's in a rhythm right now because he shot that one right through the net.
It gives him 30. Longley up on Malone. He'll try the jumper again, and he'll miss it again. Pippen has it. They can tie with a 3.
Jordan just screamed at Pippen. He wants the basketball.
Scottie to tie. Brand new game.
See, this is the moment Chicago was waiting for. They just wanted to hang around and stay close. They got people at the end of the game who can get their own shot off the dribble. You see Jordan here off the screen and roll, jumps up, takes the shot. Look at his face as he turns around. He say, I'm feeling good right now. He's coming back down the court. Next time, said, okay, Scottie, your turn. Batman and Robin, let's step up. What you gonna do for me? Right here, the three-point shot to tie it up. And Scottie say, I'm with you, Michael.
There's no doubt about it. Americans like to win. We strive to be first, always, and in everything. So it only makes sense that more of us want to drive the best. Toyota Camry, America's #1 selling car.
Kids, they're always learning something new, especially this summer at Holiday Inn. Here they can explore the world of animals and nature with free collectible toys, games, and activities, all courtesy of Holiday Inn. And because their appetite for knowledge is matched only by their appetite, kids eat free at Holiday Inn, which makes sense since they stay free too. For reservations at participating hotels, call 1-800-HOLIDAY.
Fires again, and finally hits one.
And John Stockton looked at him and said, look, you're our guy. Take us home.
Jazz by 2. Rodman out to Pippen. And Michael. Against Russell, looking to tie it. Can't. Rebound Malone. They come to their feet. Every last soul at the Delta Center. Stopped it. Shot clock winding down. Malone has to. 2 in a row! And what a time to come alive!
Karl Malone catches the ball at the top of the circle, and it's a tie game. And he does what you're supposed to do. He drives it to the basket. It looks like he's going to finish strong, and at the last moment, he flips it at the basket, and Rodman comes up with a huge block. But you know what? You got to keep coming back, Isaiah. You're the star player. You make the big plays. You square up and you hit the shot to go up 2, and then you come right back again. And you know what? Even though you're not shooting it well, you got to shoot it again. You can't be afraid to fail. You got to take your team to the top in these kind of games. And you know what? Last year, it was the Chicago Bulls making all the big plays. Tonight, it's been Karl Malone, but we still got a lot of time.
Chicago inbounds, and Pippen takes it right to the basket and is fouled, and it very nearly could have been a three-point play. Jerry Sloan can't believe it. Livid on the Utah bench.
All right, now what you have to look for, when does Scotty take off and does Malone move after he takes off?
I thought he was moving on this play. As Scotty gets in the air, you see him move and slide right up under him. Steve Javy and Bennett Salvador both looked at each other, and they both had the same call.
It's definitely the right call. The replay confirms it. And Pippen swishes the free throw.
See, there's still a ton of time right now, and interestingly enough, Jerry Sloan is coming back with Hornacek, who sat for a long time, so he's coming in for Brian Russell. The reason is because he's a very good open shooter if they're going to scramble the floor, and he's also a great free throw shooter.
The foul on Malone was his third. Utah is over the limit. The Bulls have a foul to give here in the last 2 minutes.
And Chicago is right where they want to be. A chance to steal it at the end.
Malone, Longley on him. Malone backing him down. Out to Russell. It's a three. And it won't go down. Jordan has it. Michael on the move. Can't tie it. Pippen on the offensive glass. Asks for a timeout as he's surrounded on the baseline.
You saw Jordan take it hard, trying to draw the foul on Hornacek. Couldn't get the foul. He drove to the baseline, put up the shot. Scottie Pippen came in, got the rebound over Stockton, and had the savvy to call a timeout. You watch Jordan trying to draw the foul. Hornacek is smart enough not to foul him, goes up and takes the shot. You watch Pippen comes over. Stockton, falling out of bounds, has the presence of mind to call a timeout. And you know who they're going to right now.
The shot clock and game clock are virtually identical. 23-6 remaining in the game, 23 on the shot clock. And following the game, if you want more basketball, you can join us on CNBC. Our entire cast, pregame and game commentators, will all be on hand with interviews and highlights and commentary. On the NBC network, most of you will get your late local news immediately following basketball, and then The Tonight Show with Jay Leno.
Now, fouls to give. Chicago has one. Utah is over the limit, so if they foul, Chicago will be shooting free throws. That's important because now Chicago knows if we go to the basket, you know, we're going to shoot free throws. Importantly enough, too, you've got to be disciplined, Bob. A three here could beat you. So if someone goes to the basket, you've got to be very wary where you give help. You cannot leave a Steve Kerr, a Kukoc, or a Pippen.
Chicago is just 2 of 14 on threes tonight. One by Jordan, one by Pippen.
And this is where Chicago has a huge advantage because in the playoffs, every team has scouted you. They know your matchups. They know your assignments. They know the plays that you're going to run. So you must be able to get your own shot at the end of the game. And Chicago has the greatest player in Michael Jordan and the second best in Scottie Pippen in getting their own shot in this game right now.
Bob, the question I have is if it goes into the post, do you take a chance on double-teaming Michael Jordan, where if you do get the ball out of his hand, chances are you're going to give them a look at a three-point shot?
I say you got to get it out of Michael Jordan's hands. He's beat you time and time again. make someone else beat you, and live with it.
Michael wearing a smile as he heads toward the end line. He lives for moments like this. He's the guy who's going to throw it in, but you can bet it won't be the last time he touches it. Longley, Kukoc, Pippen, Kerr out on the floor with him. It's Scotty back to Michael. Russell's on him. Around a Longley screen. Michael dishes to Longley. Up with the shot to tie the game. Timeout Utah with 14.3 seconds, even at 79.
So you draw the double team and you kick it back to Longley. Picture-perfect basketball, presence of mind. That's why Michael Jordan's a great player, because he will give it up when he draws the double team.
And we're back after these messages and a word from your local station. Anybody got a problem with game one?
For anyone who's ever worked overtime on their nails. For anyone who's ever worked with a guy like this. Or had to listen to this woman talk about her cat. For those who have slept with their eyes open, we bring you Working, just like your job, only funnier. NBC Wednesdays.
You might think this start could cause...
Jordan makes a great pass to Luke Longley. Remember, he trusted him in Indiana, and he hit a big shot. So Michael comes over. He gets the double coverage. He finds Luke Longley, who makes a tough shot. Leans up and under. Kisses it off the glass. And as he goes back down the floor, he looks over at Michael, and he goes, Michael, nice pass. And Michael goes, no, better finish.
Saddled with fouls early, Longley comes on in the second half. 10 points, 5 rebounds. He shot 4 of 6. Now remember, Chicago has a foul to give. Into Stockton.
And you see Michael guarding Stockton.
Inside 10 seconds. And there's the foul. It won't cost Chicago. It's on Jordan. 6.9 seconds. Now let's see if Utah wants a timeout.
Interestingly enough, they got Pippen on Malone and Jordan on Stockton.
Those are the two best defenders with the most speed. And if there is a pick and roll, don't be surprised if they switch it.
They add a few tenths of a second, bringing it back to 7.3. Russell, with Rodman hounding him, has trouble getting it in.
Delay of game, Chicago.
They had one of those to give also.
Bob, I'm watching guys trying to cut. We got guys holding on to each other. I mean, guys can't even move out there.
Almost daring the referees to call something in a situation where usually they're very reticent to do that. With the game on the line, the officials don't like to decide it.
At this point in time of the game, no matter who's grabbing you or holding you, you've got to get open to receive the ball and make a play.
Utah takes Carr out. He was in for defense. They bring Isley in. Russell. He asked for a timeout rather than risk the call. It's a 20-second timeout taken by the Jazz.
You see Chicago with great speed out on the court right now. Pippen, Kukoc, Rodman, Kerr, they're all the same size, can switch any crosses. Utah's going to have a hard time getting this basketball in. I would post Karl Malone right up underneath the basket and just throw it directly into him.
Well, the one thing you tell your team, when you're throwing that ball in from the sideline, you do not make a soft pass to the middle of the floor that can be picked off and go down and dunk the basketball. You've got to use composure. Someone's got to come to the ball. The worst thing that happens is you get the ball in and you don't get the shot that you want, but you go into overtime. But no soft floating passes to the middle of the floor.
Each team has one timeout left now.
Kukoc now's got to be very wary of Russell stepping in and receiving a pass back if he turns his back.
Russell into Hornacek. Now it's Stockton. Out of the corner for the win. Bounces off, no good. And it's overtime in game one. Pippen is arguing that the ball went up over the backboard and there had to be at least a few tenths of a second on the clock when that happened. So if they had made that call, Chicago would have had an opportunity to inbound from half court and maybe pull off a miracle.
Now you see a busted play right here. Now Stockton has to improvise. One of the greatest clutch shooters in the game. We watched him last year beat Houston. Just misses it short right there. Ball goes over the top. and he knows he just missed.
And Hornacek's going to wrap around, and he's going to catch the ball. And I really believe if he were healthy here, he would take his time. He's got a size advantage over Steve Kerr. He really gave the ball up quickly and forced John Stockton to take a tough shot. It almost went in, but you almost get a sense in this building that there was sort of the air went out when Stockton's shot did not go in.
Let's go over to Jim Gray, who's near the Utah bench.
Doug, you may be exactly right, because that's what Jerry Sloan just told his guys during that after regulation right there. He said, hey, guys, pick your heads up. This game is not over. We've got 5 minutes to play. Let's get some energy back. This isn't the end of the world. The game is still tied. See if we can regroup, get some energy, give it all you got. These 5 minutes is very important. Bob?
For whatever this may be worth, the road team has won the last 6 overtimes in the finals. Last time a home team won an overtime game in the final round was the Celtics in Game 2 at Boston Garden against the Lakers in 1984. That was the Gerald Henderson steal game.
Now in overtime, this is where conditioning becomes a big factor. Utah had the layoff, but were they able to stay in shape? Were they able to condition their bodies to go the length and to go the distance?
Utah led by 7 with about 3.5 minutes to play, but the Bulls came back and forced overtime. Pippen. Rebound Russell. Here comes Hornacek. Points at a premium in Game 1 into overtime, and neither team has reached 80. 5 seconds to shoot. Hornacek. Gotta force it. And he misses it. Pippen back the other way. Accelerating as Russell tries to cut him off.
Jordan wants the ball against Hornacek in the post.
And now he's got it. Longley, big second half. It doesn't continue. Rodman got a piece of it, but Hornacek comes away with the loose ball.
Say 2 points might win this overtime right now, the way these teams are shooting and defending.
Malone from Stockton all the way to the basket.
Dennis Rodman a little slow in his rotation. Had he gotten there 1 step quicker, it would have been an offensive foul on Malone, but great execution.
21 for Malone, hooked away by Hornacek, taken by Stockton, who's chased by Jordan, but lays it in anyway, and he was fouled by Kerr.
The screen roll once again. You're going to see the give and go. Rodman doesn't get there soon enough. And the gutty Jeff Hornacek, he's not right physically, but look at him reach in and knock it away from Pippen and then run the lane. And Stockton looking around with the great finish and a chance to put his team up by 5.
Which he does. And Stockton now has 20. Michael is bumped by Russell.
See, Bob, with Michael Jordan running that high screen roll with Ostertag, Stockton can't help because Steve Kerr is standing out there with his feet together. And if Stockton comes over, Michael will fan that ball out and Kerr will have a wide open three-pointer.
Foul on Russell was his 3rd. Each team with 1 foul in the overtime. Jordan to the basket and clobbered. Ostertag's 3rd, Michael to the line.
Hornacek, you know he's only playing on 1 leg right now. He reaches in on Scottie Pippen and knocks the ball away. And the Jazz needed this desperately, a chance to get a little bit of a cushion. The concentration and the finish by Stockton.
One more coming. And a chance to bring the Bulls back to within 3 with 3:05 remaining in overtime. Michael averaging 32 points a game in this year's playoffs. And stuck on 31 with that miss tonight.
Let's see if they go once again to Stockton Malone screen roll. Hornacek's the three-point shooter now.
Stockton very patient. Now fires the jumper. Longley to the floor along with Russell, and Longley asked for a timeout.
When Longley fell to the floor, Dennis Rodman signaled to Steve Javy for a quick timeout, made eye contact with Javy. Javy gave him the timeout.
See, Isaiah, I don't like this call at this stage of the game. I think you have to have clear possession. A lot of times what happens is guys start wrestling around and really nobody has the advantage. Let's see if Longley really has the advantage down there.
See, I think he has the ball, and Rodman signaled for the timeout. He held it for a quick second, and then Russell put his hand in. And that time, Rodman, if you can get he's signaling for the timeout. Rodman signaling for it right there, and you see Javy right there raise his hand up.
It was Rodman who asked for it. Sloan doesn't agree that it should have been granted. You know, Rodman is such a contradiction. He does so many goofy things, and then he does uncommonly heady things like that. Sloan arguing that Longley did not have possession to a sufficient extent to allow for that call, but Rodman asked for the timeout, and they granted it.
I played with Dennis Rodman, and Dennis Rodman is one of the smartest players that I ever played with out on the court. His basketball IQ was just as high as a Jordan or a Pippen.
Although it wasn't always completely engaged, right? That's the problem. You don't know when he's on or off the reservation.
Not on the basketball court.
Once he's on the floor, you're right.
Here's Dennis Rodman right here, and he's going to be watching the action. Brian Russell comes in and tries to pull the ball loose. He actually does. And there's Rodman right there calling the timeout. Steve Javy sees it, and he grants it.
So now the Bulls have 2 timeouts remaining. And Utah has 3.
I think the Jazz has to be very careful, Isaiah, when they come down into their offense, not to let this clock work against them too much and have to beat the shot clock, because as you said before, they don't have guys that will create off the dribble, break down, and get the kind of shot that they want.
And you know, when you're playing the Chicago Bulls with 2:45 left in the game, you got to keep scoring, because you know Chicago's going to score with Jordan and Pippen.
Here's Michael. Has to regain control of the dribble. Now drives on Russell and can't hit it. Longley, though, pulls it down.
When Michael wants that basketball back again.
Pippen flips it to him. Turnaround fadeaway. Got it. At 33.
That's amazing. What this man can do under pressure.
Well, he's so smart. He knew he had Hornacek, so he went into the post. When he had Russell out on him, he dribbled it and took it to the lane. He knows how to use his body and his mind.
Stockton. A 2-point game as we move under 2 minutes. Hornacek against Michael. Misses the runner, and now Chicago.
I don't think that's the shot they wanted. Hornacek playing one-on-one against Michael at the end of the clock.
A chance to tie it, or perhaps take the lead with a 3. On the shot clock. It's going to be Michael. 2 seconds to shoot. He's not going to get it off. 24-second violation.
Now you watch Michael working hard in the post. He's trying to draw the foul, and it doesn't come. Shot clock runs out. He said, oh, I just lost track of time right there. And you go back to the previous possession where he's driving the lane. Now, Michael Jordan normally gets that call against Karl Malone. Malone came down and hacked him on the wrist, but he didn't get the foul. So he asked for it again in the low post against Hornacek. He spins baseline, shoots the fadeaway J, which is so difficult to guard.
Tongue wagging to indicate that he's got it going on, but this last time, a rarity for him, he apparently lost track of just how much time was on the shot clock. He didn't have a good shot, but once it's down to a couple of seconds, you got to force it, which he would have done if he realized that there were that few ticks remaining.
You know what I think happened on that play is Michael thought he had Brian Russell all alone, and as he was working him, at the last moment, Ostertag came over and got in his way in a double team, so Michael was going to try to step through, and once he did, the clock went off. So Ostertag really forced that violation with the double team. Now watch Ostertag come over. Look, Michael thinks he's got a one-on-one here. Right here is Ostertag, and at the last moment, he's going to come over as Michael lets everything clear. Michael's going to work his time here. Now here comes Ostertag. Now Michael says, I have no place to go, and at that point in time, it's too late.
Steve Kerr, seated alongside Michael, has played the entire fourth quarter and the overtime rather than Ron Harper.
That's because of his shooting. Because if they're going to double team in the post, you're going to stay with Steve Kerr. If he stands out 25 feet from the basket, they know he's hit big shots. Remember Game 6 last year, out of the double team, he hit the game winner. Michael Jordan, you can see operating in that lane, but also that mid-post area. He's been so deadly tonight. That little 16, 17-footer. Question you have here, Isaiah, can the Jazz score? Can they get a basket here? Because they need one with only a 2-point lead. They've got to score some points here.
This is a huge possession for the Utah Jazz, and it would come down to execution.
Stockton into the front court, guarded by Kerr. Malone has it bounce off his leg, loose ball. Then it's Salvatore blows the whistle, and there's a Chicago foul.
I think they're going to call Michael Jordan out of bounds here. Watch Michael read this. They're trying to step Malone out. He jumps into the passing lane, and then Michael dives for the loose ball. They're going to say his hand was out of bounds.
You're right, no foul. But just as importantly, the ball to Utah.
Shot clock.
7 seconds. Stockton's pass broken up and stolen by Rodman. Another key defensive play by Dennis. Michael. Hornacek has it. Michael for the tie, but a whistle. The basket will not count.
Michael did not want that foul right there. He wanted the basket. He did not want the foul. But here's the steal. You watch Stockton come off the screen and roll, and Steve Kerr comes back and he gets a hand in the passing lane. Jordan coming down, wants the isolation in the post, the fade, didn't want the foul on the floor, but the referee gave it to him anyway.
Foul is Hornacek's second. Kukoc comes in, he'll inbound it, so they have the extra shooter in Kukoc. Longley, Ostertag up on him. Puts it on the floor, tries to go to the hoop, lost it. And Russell dives to the floor to pick it up, and he gets the timeout.
Bob, I'm shocked. They went to a one-on-one play for Longley against Ostertag. And Luke, if he's going to have to dribble the ball twice, he's going to be in trouble. They knocked it loose.
Chicago has had so many opportunities to win this game. You see Longley will get the ball in the post, and he's looking for somebody to pass it to. No one will come, so he'll put it on the floor to try to go around Ostertag to try to create something. Morris gets a hand on the ball, and at this point in time in the playoffs, you dive on the floor, you get the ball, you get possession, and you call a timeout.
It looks like Brian Russell gets a little bit of hand in here. Watch him as he goes by. Right there, he knocks the ball loose. Now, it's important because there's a 4.4 differential on the shot clock. We see Brian Russell call timeout, so he makes the play that the Bulls made earlier in this overtime period.
I thought Karl Malone kicked that basketball, and that should have been a violation.
Well, Bob, there's a 4.4 differential right now. So if you're Chicago, do you feel like that you have enough time that you can let them use the clock, get a shot up, rebound it, still have enough time to get a timeout and move the basketball? That's a major question for Phil Jackson. He's got to decide what he wants to do here.
Chicago has a foul to give. If Utah should commit a foul of any sort, the Bulls will be shooting the rest of the way. Let's see if we can get a look at what you were talking about, so you can see if Malone does kick this ball.
You see in the scramble for the ball, Watch as it's rolling out of bounds. You'll see Malone go for it, and watch he kicks that basketball.
I think that's inadvertent, though. They wouldn't call that. You have to stick your foot out and make an effort to do that. They would not call that. That was an inadvertent kick. That's a good no call.
The Jazz still with 2 timeouts. Chicago down to 1.
Now the Jazz will take this length of the floor to give them more room to get the ball in, because against Chicago, it's very difficult to get it in. Question again, does Phil Jackson take a foul, or do they play this out to the finish, hope they can stop and get a rebound?
I think you play it out.
Malone throws it into Stockton. Into the front court with Kerr guarding him. Chicago doesn't have to foul because of the overlap. It's Stockton on the run, and it's Utah by 4. Chicago uses its last timeout with 9.3 seconds remaining in overtime.
You know what? That was good defense. The Bulls did a good job here. Steve Kerr fought over the top of that Isaiah, and you know what it was? It was better offense by a Hall of Fame player. Look at the shot that Stockton has to take. Kerr's got a hand in his face. He's on the move. That was just great offense by John Stockton. You can see they're going to stay with the screener. They're not going to trap it. And Stockton just makes a wonderful play when they most needed it.
See, I have to ask myself this question. Why is Steve Kerr in the game right now guarding John Stockton when you have a better defender and Brown or Harper on the bench?
Look at Jerry Sloan, the former Chicago Bull great. Now in his 10th year as the coach of the Jazz, the longest tenure of any present NBA coach. His reaction as Stockton gives them just a bit of breathing room.
Let's see what happens. They're going to come over and run the screen roll, and they don't want to jump out and let Malone roll, so they stay with him. And Kerr does a good job fighting over. Now Michael doesn't want to leave Hornacek, who's the shooter. Kerr gets back, gets a hand up, and just makes an unbelievably tough shot. That's what we talk about, Stockton and Malone, 13th season, Bob. And then it's Stockton once again with the running shot in the lane.
At this stage of his career, at age 36, in his 14th NBA season, Stockton does not put up the kind of numbers night in, night out that he did during that great decade-long stretch where he led the league in assists, and it was a league that included Magic Johnson for a large portion of that time, led it in assists 9 straight times, and was also averaging like 16 points a game. But when his team has needed it, especially tonight, with his running mate Karl Malone having a subpar night, what has he done? 22 points, 8 assists. Kukoc looking to get it in. Jordan back to Kukoc. They need a 3, and Kukoc delivers it with 5.4 seconds, bringing them to within 1 and allowing them to foul. They immediately grab Russell. Jordan does it. Shakes his hand to indicate it was unintentional, rather strategic.
See, Karl Malone made a mistake there on that out-of-bounds play. He was guarding Tony Kukoc. The most dangerous man on that kind of play is the guy throwing the ball in bounds. Karl Malone lost vision where he was at, and Kukoc just stepped right in. Now, they had a foul to give.
It was, of course, intentional. I meant to say that the contact, the roughness of it was unintentional.
Now, you got Burrell coming in now for Steve Kerr, who has more speed, so they can possibly try to get a quick foul or either go for the steal.
I'm surprised Hornacek is not in the game right now because he's one of their best free throw shooters.
4.8. Malone into Stockton. And he dribbles a bit of time off the clock before they can catch him and foul him with 3 seconds left, and not the guy that you want to send to the line if you're Chicago.
You keep putting the pressure on, though. You extend the game. When you make that 3, now what you do is you got to make Stockton make 2. If he makes 1, a 2 ties, or a 3 beats you. If he makes them both, the 3 can send the game into overtime. So still a lot of game left to be played here, Bob.
They put half a second back on the clock. But remember, Chicago has used its last timeout.
See, they can't move the basketball. That means they got to throw something long. That's why if they can get both of these, it's very difficult to catch and kick out for a 3.
Stockton with 5 points in overtime. It rattles around and drops.
Now what they'll do is they'll put Michael Jordan at the other end of the floor, and they'll throw a home run play to him. He'll come to the sideline, catch it, and in one motion try to catch and shoot the three. Brian Russell's got to keep it out of his hands here.
3-point lead. Kukoc down to Michael with Russell on him. He tips it to Pippen. Can he beat the horn? He can, but he misses it. And game one goes to Utah in overtime. A game they had to sweat to win with their best player having a subpar night.
The home run play to Michael Jordan, and Brian Russell does a great job staying with him, and he actually knocks the ball loose. And those loose, broken plays are what sometimes beats it. You see Longley tip it back to Pippen, and they chased him off his shot, made him take a tough one, never got into any kind of rhythm.
See, Doug, I think by Longley tipping that ball, it threw Pippen off his rhythm. Consequently, he didn't get a good look at it, and that's what he's really frustrated about, because when Longley tipped it the second time, he wasn't able to get in his rhythm.
Jim Gray is with Karl Malone.
All right, thank you very much, Bob. Karl, you struggled tonight, 9 for 25, but you hit the two big ones there in regulation. You had a lot of guts going down there. How did you have the fortitude to take those shots?
Well, I didn't have a good rhythm the whole night. I didn't shoot the ball really well, but they kept running my plays, and they said, hey, look, it's 48-minute ball game, so it's just one of those things where in the playoffs, sure, I would like to win, and I would like to shoot good, but in the playoffs, I don't think it really matters what your shoot percentage are. If you have an opportunity to shoot some big shots, that's what it's about. But other guys did a great job. This right here, we knew this was going to be a tough game for us. We got to win.
When you guys came back over to the bench after regulation, everybody was kind of down. Jerry Sloan said, hey, guys, pick it up. We got 5 minutes left to play. Were you guys down, and how devastating would it have been to lose, leading by 7 with 3.5 minutes to go?
Well, we was down a little bit, but the thing about it, they're a great team. You got to give them a lot of credit for that. And we knew that we had to fight our behinds out to get the lead. Then they came back, with championship teams do. But then in the overtime, we kind of got some baskets right off. And it was a great team effort. Like I said, I didn't have the game I wanted, but we won the ball game, and it's really neat.
Will the rest be off Friday night for you?
Excuse me?
Will the rest be off Friday night?
I hope it will. I hope it will.
Congratulations, Karl. I'd like to put it over to Mike Rashad.
All right, thanks, Jim. Somehow, John, you had the feeling that these games were going to be just like this one was tonight.
Absolutely. They're a championship team, and we feel like we bring a tough game, too. So, I don't know. We had a couple nights lead there, and they just kept coming back. They're a true champion, and we're going to have to play a lot better than we played tonight. We expect to try to win this thing.
In a strategy like this, the visiting team always tries to come in and try to steal one, but you guys just would not let that happen.
Well, we were fortunate. We had some chances. I had a chance in regulation to make the shot, didn't do it. I didn't think we played terrifically in the overtime, but we just managed to eke it out.
Karl had a tough night tonight, but everybody else stepped up, especially you.
Well, they're going to try to stop Karl, just like we try to stop Michael. That's your first job. If you can do that, you have a good chance of beating any team. So other guys need to step up. Unfortunately, a few shots fell tonight.
All right, congratulations, and the battle has begun.
Yes, it has.
All right, thanks. Let's go back to Bob Costas.
All right, Ahmad, the Bulls have now lost 4 straight road games in the playoffs, every one of them very close, and they trail this series 1-0. Friday at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. It's Game 2 of the NBA Finals from right here in the Delta Center in Salt Lake City. Coming up next, for most of you, your late local news and an all-new Tonight Show with Jay Leno as Jay welcomed actress Sandra Bullock and Magic Johnson. And for those of you who'd like to continue with the NBA Finals, interview